Shalom, holy initiates and holy adepts. Welcome to my holy channel. I am the Chief Magician of Mystery Babylon. And this video is essentially part 5 of my ongoing series on HaSfiroth, which I think is one of my best series on my channel in introducing many, for lack of a better term, religious individuals who want to be initiated into the holy mysteries. The Sfiroth is where all gates of initiation begin. And so I would go as far as to say, with the seal of Hashem, that I have the best series and best teaching on the Sfiroth, that can be found anywhere on the internet for that matter. And please don't confuse my declarations of the facts with hubris. Now, prerequisites for this video. This is a very advanced video. This is part 5. So the prerequisites are that you have seen my entire series on the Sfiroth up to this point, because this is a very advanced video. Now, more relevantly, that you have seen part 3 of this series, which deals with the correct diagram of the Sfiroth, which is a very, very arcane matter that has even gone over the heads of the vast majority of Kabbalists in this last generation. And again, as I'm always saying, over 95, if not 99% of Jewish Kabbalists out there are all inferior Kabbalists that do not belong to this direct line of transmission, and they're very, very inferior and not fully initiated in comparison to somebody like myself, who does belong to the direct line and who is fully initiated. This cannot be emphasized enough. So part 3 dealt with the correct diagram of the Sfiroth. In this series, we're going to extend off of what I taught and revealed in that part. Now, I want to begin with reciting the Shahid, as it's known in Arabic, or in Hebrew, the Shema. If you're probably listening in the background, you will be hearing what I consider to be a very, very beautiful but very powerful song, where this very beautiful woman is reciting the Shahid. Now, in Arabic, that is La Allah. In Arabic, that is La ilaha il huwa, but in ancient Hebrew, really in ancient Aramaic, it is La alaha Allahu, which is there is no God but He, Baruch Hu. This is very, very, very powerful. The Muslims, of course, copied much of their prayers and invocations and recitations really from us, the grandmasters. The ancient Hebrews are really Jews, but very, very powerful. I just love reciting the Shahid or the Shema, which is La alaha Allahu. And say hello to my little friend at the bottom, which is a depiction and a holy diagram of what is known as the Ouroboros, or even more properly, the in Greek, the Caduceus. But really, it's a very, very ancient, powerful esoteric diagram, which I will be diving deep into in this video. So definitely enjoy the most very beautiful, spiritually powerful song in the background, which I just really love. I wanted to play it because this is a very, very powerful, very, very holy esoteric teaching, and I want this very powerful divine spiritual music, to further stimulate your spiritual senses and your mind as you are soaking and absorbing this very powerful esoteric divine revelation and wisdom. So we'll begin by just briefly stating that, as far as the Kabbalah is concerned, there are many esoteric diagrams and pictorials that you will find in many of our ancient esoteric books. And when we're speaking on HaSfiroth in particular, we will find that there are many diagrams to the Sfiroth, which begs the question, one, why are there many diagrams depicting the Sfiroth? And in a state of ignorance, knowing that there are many diagrams, does this mean that one diagram in particular is correct versus the others, meaning that there are some wrong diagrams? Right? These are very momentous questions to ask, and these questions have been asked by many of my ancestors and masters and even grandmasters of Israel. Now, quintessentially, yes, there are many diagrams to the Sfiroth. Now, from an ignorant perspective, this might lead an ignorant, profane individual to conclude that there can only be one diagram, and that only one diagram is correct. But this is furthest from the truth. The divine solution, namely, is that all of the representations, pictorial representations of the Sfiroth that are found in our ancient esoteric texts, that they are all correct. And the divine solution is that they all represent different partsufim, or aspects of HaSfiroth, as we will see here shortly. Now, let us first deal with the circular image. I want to focus primarily in this video, as I did in part 3, on the fact that there are two primary variant representations of the Sfiroth, right? We geometrically denote this as the circular diagram and the linear diagram. And of course, there are many holy mysteries behind these two diagrams, and our books go very much in depth, further expanding and elaborating on the essence and mysteries behind these diagrams, much of which is beyond the canon scope of this video. This video, my intention is to keep things very simple, as these videos many of my videos are meant to be introductions into holier gates, more esoteric gates. But essentially what you see before you is the very well-known circular diagram, which represents the Sfiroth as 10 concentric circles, which is a valid construct and geometric diagram. But we also have the linear diagram, which now you see before you, okay, which represents the Sfiroth in terms of a linear construct. Okay. Now again, both of these diagrams are correct. Now, the divine solution is best stated by a highly initiated, I'd go as far as to say a real fully initiated grandmaster, somebody who actually belonged to the direct line of transmission and who was an actual grandmaster and Shabbatain, none other than the divine Ramchal. Now, the Ramchal, in one of his magnus opuses, specifically in 138 openings of Chokhmah, in opening 13, this is what he has to say on the two principal diagrams of the Sfiroth. He says, since the Supreme Will wanted to show these different aspects by means of the forms seen in the prophetic vision, he instituted these two forms, circles and the straight or upright form. The circles indicate the developmental chain through which the Sfiroth emerge one from another, while the upright linear depiction indicates the governmental order in which the Sfiroth are arranged along the three lines of kindness, judgment, and mercy. Matters relating to the causal and developmental interrelationship between the Sfiroth must be understood from the circles, while matters relating to government must be understood through the linear depiction. Very well stated. I couldn't have said it better myself. Now, I want to begin by showing you a few other esoteric diagrams, which unfortunately I don't have the time and space to get into. The whole point in me showing you these additional diagrams is to emphasize what I said earlier in the sense, or in the fact really, that there are many esoteric diagrams that properly depict the Sfiroth, and each different diagram is to highlight different holy mysteries and essences and parts to theme of the Sfiroth. So this is one such very esoteric image of the Sfiroth, and this is another one, which depicts the Sfiroth through the letter Aleph, right? So again, each representation comes to unfold more diverse holy mysteries behind the Sfiroth. Now, what you see before you now is a very arcane, very, very arcane, advanced depiction of the Sfiroth. Now, the diagram to the left in which you see a circle of Hebrew letters, is a diagram taken from one of the highest, most sublime, most glorious, most esoteric of Kabbalistic books, none other than the glorious Sefer Emek HaMelech, written by a grandmaster of grandmasters. Cannot be emphasized enough. Now, in this particular construct, we have the names of the 10 HaSfiroth arranged in a circle. And in the picture to the right, which is essentially the same construct, instead of the 10 names, you will find 10 letters, each letter signifying each letter signifying one of the 10 HaSfiroth. And this geometric figure is taken from Moshe Cordovero's Magnus Opus Pardes Rimoni. Now, as I stated, these are very, very advanced, arcane, geometric figures of the HaSfiroth. Now, why am I showing you these two figures, right? One is found in a very, very esoteric, advanced, probably one of the most advanced, it is literally the most advanced Kabbalistic book, second only to the Shabbatean Kabbalistic books. And then the other diagram is taken from Moshe Cordovero's Pardes Rimoni. Now, the reason is because we have a problem. I'm showing you this is to highlight a major problem, which I have mentioned on Pasim in many of my videos, right? And this is something that I strictly cannot emphasize enough. It's no exaggeration when I say that quite literally, we're talking 99% of all Jewish Kabbalists are extraordinarily inferior, and they are most definitely not fully initiated. Now, the grandmasters of grandmasters, these are the individuals who are all the way at the top of the whole Illuminati. They're all the way at the top of the pyramid. Some of them are gods in the flesh. They are fully initiated, and they have a knowledge and understanding of every spiritual matter. They are not ignorant. You can ask them any spiritual question, any matter on any of the spiritual knowledge and wisdom, whether it's arcane or exoteric, and they will know the truth. We're talking about the apex of the Holy Illuminati here, or the Order of the Zoharim. And in this last generation, this order only consists of 144 individuals. And in previous generations, the order consisted of much less individuals. This is very important to understand because the clearest proof, I will give you the clearest proof, okay? If you're a Jewish Kabbalist and you don't know that Yeshua Bar Yosef of Nazareth is Hamashiach ben Yosef, if you don't know this and you're a Jewish Kabbalist, you are most definitely an inferior Kabbalist. You most definitely do not belong to the direct line of transmission. You are most definitely not part of the whole Illuminati. This is a fact. This is a fact. Now, the facts are that 99% of Jewish Kabbalists, they don't believe in Yeshua. They don't know that Yeshua Bar Yosef is Hamashiach. Now, this is just one of many matters. There are other more arcane matters, spiritual matters, but I can go into that 99% of the Jewish Kabbalists have no understanding or knowledge of, which is even more proof that they do not belong to the direct line of transmission and that they are most inferior Kabbalists. But if you go online, most of the Jewish Kabbalists that you'll find online are very inferior Kabbalists. They are not even fully initiated. Now, if you're listening, if you're watching this video, you either have eyes to see and ears to hear and understand what I'm telling you. You can see it as clear as light, or you are a profane, uninitiated, spiritually blind individual who has no idea what I am saying, who doesn't believe what I'm saying, and that's fine. In fact, if that's the case, then I would ask you to just even please leave now. Don't waste any more of your time continuing to watch this video or listen to what I have to say. This channel, these videos are not. You are cast aside as a profane pig. Now, this is the highlight, this is the essence, the quintessence of what I want all of you listening to understand, because we have a problem here. This issue has always existed throughout the generations. We have always had inferior Kabbalists. We've always had a very subtle dissension among the Kabbalists between those that actually belong to the Holy Illuminati and those that belong to the inferior orders of the Kabbalists, whether they're second or third degree and so on. Okay? Now, case in point is Moshe Cordovero. Okay? He was not a grandmaster, and he was by no means fully initiated. He came close to the direct line of transmission because he was extremely highly initiated, but never actually touched upon the direct line of transmission. Never reached that point of initiation, thus making him a very inferior Kabbalist. Okay? Now, in Pardes Rimonim in Gate 6 in Chapter 1, with regards to the diagram that I just showed you, he says that regarding this diagram, this form, that this is not the opinion of the true Mechablim. In other words, he takes issue with this diagram. He says explicitly in this book that this diagram is an incorrect representation of the Sfiroth. And he goes as far as to say that all of the Mechablim that used this diagram, that have depicted the Sfiroth through this diagram, that they are not fully initiated. This is what he explicitly states. Now, the question is what he is stating true? I've already told you the truth, the whole truth and nothing but the truth, that the Ramak was not fully initiated, and he was most definitely not a grandmaster. Now, let's talk about the Arizal. Now, I think there are many ignorant individuals out there that they don't have the full understanding of the truth as to who the Arizal was. So let me tell you who the Arizal was for those of you that are ignorant. Okay? Maybe you've heard of this. Maybe when you heard this, it just went over your head. Maybe you don't have the full understanding. That's fine. But let me tell you the truth. The Arizal was a divine man. And when I say he was a divine man, do not misunderstand what I'm saying. When I say that he's a divine man, I mean he was divine on the level of HaMashiach Yaakov Frank, on the level of Jesus Christ. This is the type of man we are talking about here. He was a God in the flesh. And the vast majority of those that belong to the upper ranks of the Holy Order will go as far as to tell you that he was Mashiach ben Yosef. The truth of the matter is that the Arizal, as all of the grandmasters are in accord, that he is a reincarnation, a Gilgul of Yeshua bar Yosef. He's essentially a reincarnation of Jesus. And Jesus has reincarnated many times in the Siyam, and the Arizal is just one other reincarnation of Jesus. Ergo, the reason why the Arizal was a grandmaster of grandmasters, the reason why his disciples all became grandmasters. Okay? Now, if you can't see this, if you can't understand this, if you're experiencing cognitive dissonance, then you've come to the wrong channel. You're watching the wrong video. You shouldn't be here. You shouldn't be here. This channel, this video, it's for the elite. It's not for spiritual babies. I'm not here to change spiritual diapers, okay? If you need your spiritual diapers changed, go see your local rabbi, go see your local pastor, okay? So, this is the proof that the Ramak was a very inferior Mekabah. At best, a master. Most definitely not a grandmaster. Now let us go and read the words of a true grandmaster of grandmasters and what he has to say on this matter. Because when you understand the words of the Grand Master of Grandmasters that I'm about to reveal to you, you will better understand me, who am a Grandmaster of Grandmasters in this last generation. Do you have eyes to see? Do you have ears to hear? Or are you spiritually blind? We're about to find out. Now, the Grandmaster of Grandmasters, Naftali El-Hanan, in the most glorious book, Sefer Emek HaMelech, which he wrote, in Gate 6, which is Olam HaTohu, in folio 15a, this is what he has to say regarding that same diagram. He states, the most ancient Mekubalim have said that all of the Sfiroth are in a circle. And their words are most correct. And Abraham Abulafia confirms this in his Sefer Galgal, which is the book of the circle. And the author of Pardes Rimonim rejected this order, and he did not know the full essence of the matter. So, when you get very deep into these very esoteric spiritual matters, you'll start to notice that there are various degrees of initiation. And when you reach the highest levels and you oversee all of this esoteric wisdom, only then will you have 20/20 supernal vision to be able to distinguish between the inferior Mekubalim and the real superior Mekubalim. Now, Naftali, who was a Grandmaster of Grandmasters, who was fully initiated, right, who oversaw all of the esoteric wisdom, he knew without a shadow of a doubt, being a disciple of the Arizal, that on this matter, Moshe Cordovero was incorrect. And he calls him out for this. And he says, you know, the Ramak didn't fully understand this matter. Why? Because he was not fully initiated. Certainly not at the level of the Arizal and all of us who are the chief disciples of the Arizal. So, what is the essence of the matter? Well, he will go on to explain that the essence of the matter is that this circular diagram, which essentially is an Ouroboros, represents a particular partsoup of Kether. This diagram only applies to Kether when Kether was first being emanated. Mark my words very, very well, and consider what I have just said very, very wisely and with very great wisdom and attention. Because if you look at the diagram, you will notice that Kether Alyon is essentially being spiritually equated with Malchuth. It is, as we all say, that the end is in the beginning and the beginning is in the end. Quintessentially, HaSfiroth is the highest divine archetype of the serpent. Now, there are many holy mysteries here. So many abundant holy mysteries that I don't have the time and space to fully get into them here, or to explicate them, or to illuminate them here, far beyond the canon scope of this video. But I have revealed enough for now. Shalom. Salah.